It is said that in this world, soul dwells in the stuff that is cherished, meaning objects, tools, utensils, toys that are cherished for will be inhabited by souls. The thing that isn't said, though, is if this soul is a part of the soul of the one who cherished for them, or if it is a soul that forms from the sentiment of caring itself. We start the story following a torn stuffed animal. The girl it belongs to tells her mother about it, and she says that it can't be fixed. Suing it won't make it look any better, so they decide to buy a new one and throw this one away. This is a great first page. We learn that people in this world find value in new stuff, in stuff that has not been broken yet. And if something does break, they find it to be irreparable and just toss it away. This is a very important aspect of the world building for this story, that does not only show how they treat things, but also is an indication of how they might treat people in their society. The toy is sent in a trash bag to the dumpster where we have the introduction of the protagonist. And what an introduction it is! Looking through a hole, one of the dumpster guards sees a bright figure looking through the trash picking up stuff. This is art. The way the panel is constructed gives us so much on his character without having to say anything. He is the main focus of the panel. He is detached from all the garbage that surrounds him. He is different. He's special. He is not defined by the place he's in or by the work he's doing. He has a value that sticks out even amongst the trash. A value that we are yet to learn about. So the guard breaks into the room pointing a gun at him, and he recognizes him as the trash vandal, which means this is not the first time he stole trash from this place. The guard activates the alarms to alert everyone who quickly move into the room. The vandal throws trash at them as a distraction while he climbs through the vents. He quickly gets to the top, but more guards are already waiting for him, and they instantly shoot at him. But he dodges the bullets, every single one of them. This is the first evidence we have of power. My guess would be that he has enhanced reflexes, but maybe he has enhanced senses, or maybe he's just faster than regular humans. I'm not sure. But clearly, the protagonist isn't just a regular person. He has some superhuman skill on a certain level. So he parkours his way out of their sight, but not without getting a shot to his arm. And here we have our first look at him, without the hood and with a little stuffed animal in his bag. Then we cut to what is clearly the main city, where people are talking about the robbery, and wondering why someone would steal garbage. They are quick to assume it was someone from the tribe, since they are poor and don't have access to the same stuff these rich people have. And while they have this conversation, we see one of those from the tribe walking by the city. Which begs the question, how the fuck is he in there? How did he get there? What is he doing there? This must mean there is a connection between the tribe people and these people. Maybe the tribe people have lower end jobs in here, and they get access to this place so that they will work, but still, it seems a bit odd to see him walking there. And there we have it. The shot that concludes the introduction of the world and that sets up the goal and conflict that's eventually going to happen. There is a large, developed, and clean city on one side, and a poorly developed amalgamation of houses on the other. The city and the tribe. Now, on the poor side of town, we find our protagonist, Rudo, being berated by Chua for stealing trash again. And he explains that he feels sorry for the stuff rich people discard, which just adds to his character. He cares to the point of not giving up on something just because a part of it is broken. Even if others say it's bad, he knows better than that, and he will go after that broken stuff and recover it and fix it. Because they can and they deserve to be fixed. Now, of course, this isn't said, but it is implied that that's not just about things, about garbage that's discarded, but also about people and how he feels about them. Rudo's design, by the way, is sick. His gloves, his baggy clothes, his Senku-like kind of hair. He's amazing. He looks amazing. And while they're sitting there talking, a couple of bullies show up and trash talk Rudo, saying how his parents were murderers and that he is just like them because he's their son. And in this dialogue, they also state that this place was created to exile people like his parents, and those who live here are the descendants of those criminals. And by stealing stuff, he's doing the opposite of what they believe would be good for their society. Because if the descendants keep committing crimes, they believe the higher part of town will never let them back into their society, and they will forever be exiled. They leave, afraid of Rudo's reaction, but Chua seems unfazed by those comments. She says she believes in Rudo. She says he is not like his parents, he's not a killer. He has a confused look on his face. It's not really happiness or gratitude, but it's also not anger. It is confusion. She tried to be nice to him, to make him feel better, but in doing so, she also implied his parents are murderers. And while Rudo does appreciate the fact that she's trying to be there for him and to be good for him, he also acknowledges the fact that she just called his parents murderers, which apparently doesn't sit really well. So arises confusion. He tries to hand her the toy he fixed, but before she could get it, her parent tells her to go home and Rudo also leaves to his place. And that's where we find the guy who was just walking at the higher side of town earlier, Ragto. He is the adult responsible for Rudo, and instantly makes fun of him for trying to give the toy to Chua. Rudo feels embarrassed and Ragto tells him to actually be more honest with his feelings when offering her the gift. An advice that Rudo later uses, showing how he values what Ragto has to say, and pretty much how he values Ragto as a person and as a parental figure. And we follow that with a very important scene that states some pretty important aspects of Rudo and of this world. They discuss the trash collecting and how Rudo shouldn't do it, since Ragto is the one who is responsible for bringing in money because he's an adult. And Rudo says it's not for the money, but to thank Ragto for raising him since he was a kid. Again, adding to Rudo's character. From there, Ragto takes care of Rudo's injury from his arm, and when Rudo takes off his gloves, we see what he calls the scars his parents gave him, while saying that compared to these scars, the shot he took is just a scratch. Ragto says he should value his life more, and if he commits a more severe crime, he could get caught and thrown into the abyss just like his father. We also learn that Rudo remembers these scars from his first memories, so maybe it wasn't something that was done to him, but something that he was born with, a condition. It's kind of hard to tell. And these are not only permanent, for what it seems, but they also occasionally cause him excruciating pain. So from this interaction alone, we learn that people who commit crimes go to the abyss, whatever this is. We're going to learn a little bit later. And we also learned that Rudo's father was thrown into the abyss. And since they don't state that going into the abyss is a death sentence, I would assume Rudo's father is not actually dead, and he's going to show up later at some point in time as a very important character in the drama, and he's going to be fucking cool and strong as well. Anyways, we then have a shot of a mysterious figure standing outside Rudo's house. Early next day, we have a shot of Rudo looking to what seems to be a dark smoke that rises from what we now know is the abyss. And from what we see, the abyss circles their city, and their city circles the inner part, where the rich people live. So they are not only exiled from society, they are stranded, unable to leave in any direction. If they go forward, the city stops them. And if they go backwards, well, they are stuck in the position the higher society has put them in, which is just great because when the payback comes, and it will come, this will be so satisfying to see. Chua meets him and nonchalantly comments about the criminal who was just thrown into the abyss. It's weird to see how they talk about people being casted to the worst possible part of the world and maybe even dying. And Chua warns Rudo to not keep stealing because she doesn't want him to be killed or thrown into the abyss. Which shows she really cares for him, not necessarily in a romantic manner, as he cares about her, but she cares for him nonetheless. Rudo then gives the toy to Chua and she says she'll treasure it. And Rudo just runs back home to tell Ragta about his great achievement. He hits a man that crosses his way, but after a quick exchange of looks, the man runs away and Rudo goes home. And as he opens the door, he finds Ragto lying on the floor with a sword through his chest. He is floored. He tries to scream his name, but nothing comes out. He says he will save him, but the only thing Ragto answers is, "Run. This shitty world, you have to change it." And in a flash, Rudo is electrocuted and held down by the cops, being framed as the murderer. They hang him on the outside of the city to be thrown into the abyss, but in the middle of the crowd, he sees Chua. He looks at her as a light at the end of the tunnel. And as she stands up, she says she thought he was different, but in the end, he is just a murderer. And she throws the toy away. And as he is falling to his end, he sees the man he came across when coming home. And before leaving their sight, he swears to come back and kill every single one of these motherfuckers. Damn, what a way to start the manga, right? I mean, I find it hard to think of a manner of getting me more involved into this story. So, as he reaches the ground of the abyss, he is met by a monster raised into or by the garbage that was discarded there. This is a very Eren Yeager type of beginning, right? And it is amazingly executed. The character of Rudo, the world building, the motivations for him, everything was done incredibly well in this chapter, and that's not to mention the art. My god, the art in this is superb. It's the kind of stuff that just pulls you into it. And while Rudo was falling to his demise, he saw something in the distance, some sort of structure, which might be just where another civilization, which might be just a place where a lot of trash has stacked up, but it might be another civilization where other people live. Or it might even be a place where other types of beings live, since it lays kind of in between the city and the abyss. I'm not sure of what it is, but this is for sure going to be very, very important. This was an excellent first chapter. It did everything it needed to do, and it hooked me in for the ride. I'm excited to see what comes next, and I'm gonna follow this every week and be covering it here, because, I mean, I have nothing else better to do. So, if you enjoyed this and want to see more of Gachiakuta, remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.